My guest today is Sarah Kohler, founder of 20bliss.com, a platform which both empowers creative 20-somethings to express themselves and curates independently organised exhibitions and events for this often lost internet demographic. Born and raised in Hong Kong, I started off asking this modern-day impresario how she got started here and how 20Bliss all came about.
Sorry, I went to San Francisco to study at California College of the Arts. And then I came back and had no idea what I was going to do. But my immediate reaction was just to repress. And the way I did that was just to keep working and try different types of internships. And I realized that none of them were satisfying me creatively. I felt like I wasn't doing anything that mattered to me, or like I wasn't helping anyone.
What did you study at university?
I studied photography and graphic design, and it was an American university, so I could take a whole range of different classes. So like I applied as a photography major, but it didn't mean that I had to only do photography. I could take creative writing classes and interactive design and stuff like that.
How long did it take you from arriving back in Hong Kong, terra firma, to deciding actually you need to be in business for yourself?
I think 4 or 5 months. It was at the back of my mind, but I didn't know what that was going to be. But because I've done different internships before, and I realized that I didn't like working for other people, or maybe I hadn't met the right employer or whatever. But
so you came back from the US, you interned here for 4 or 5 months, and then you made a decision to go into business for yourself.
Yeah.
Just talk me through that. How did that come about for you?
Well, I didn't completely go into it at the beginning. I did freelance work, of course. When I started it wasn't going to be a business, to be honest. When I started 20Bliss, it was just an idea for a blog that I had. And it was, like I said, it was a transitional period, and BuzzFeed was really churning out these listicles, which they're calling now, like 20 reasons you're in your 20s. And, it's fun and interesting, but when there's about 5 of them every single day, it gets tiring. But also, I wanted to hear actual stories instead of being just a list of generalized feelings that didn't necessarily apply to every single person, or they just seemed really vague. And so, which is why I started the blog, and I wanted to ask people what I was asking myself, which is, what did I want to achieve, or what did my 20s mean to me, or what happens after you graduate?
And so the people that have now have become attracted to your blog, what brings them back? What's going on 20-something on 20Bliss that's making your audience grow in the way that it is?
I think the internet is inherently very social and ever-changing, and I think this is my favorite thing about it, is that I'm allowed to change and grow with it. And so I was asking my readers that question and to write to me about that. And every single time I had new doubts or questions or just worries in life, I guess, I would write to them, and it would be this conversation almost. And then as it was growing, more and more people were writing to us, meaning that indirectly they were also speaking to each other, and it just slowly became a community. And then we expanded in content with interviewing emerging artists, and it shows that everyone who is creative is afraid to put something out there. It's scary, but that's okay, and you don't have to do it alone. So that's what the site is there for.
Is there another site similar to yours that's out there in the blogosphere?
I'm sure there is. There's a ton of them on Tumblr. There's this one called The Only Magic is Art, but I actually know the guy. He's from San Francisco. He's called Brendan, and he focuses more on just featuring people, as in he'll post their work, but there's not as much written content, I guess. So it's nice to see other blogs that are doing that, but like I said, the internet is so social. It's people easily come together, and it wasn't like we were competing against each other. If anything, we saw it as like we could, maximize on this. And he had a huge following as well, so that really helped in bringing 20 Bliss into the internet spotlight, I guess.
So how big is your tribe now, and what sort of...
It's about 1,700 or 800, and interestingly, about 40% of them are from the U.S., which I think I owe that to Brendan. Yeah.
So is it still very much a labour of love for you at the moment? Have you found a way to monetize it?
Yes, absolutely. I recently started Urban Hacks, which is a new creative initiative that I wanted to experiment with, which happened last month. And it's something that I could perhaps partner up with brands and other venue spaces to hire us to create this concept for them, or this event. And it's really focused on the idea of engaging the community and breaking down that barrier between creatives and, I guess, non-creatives, so to speak, because I feel like there's this fear of people always saying like, oh, I'm not creative, I can't draw, or something like that, which is not true. I think everyone is a little bit creative. It doesn't matter.
Yes, I have discovered something quite interesting about one's latent ability to be an artist, if you will. Because when I started my own immigration blog and my own immigration website, where I reached out to my tribe and positioned myself to answer questions and help solve problems, in imparting that know-how and that expertise, I needed a way to do it in an engaging way.
Yeah.
And that made me think about how I was going to construct that proposition. And so it's given me opportunities to create art. And if you look at our websites, we've got some really interesting things going on that are different. So I agree with you that people do have latent artistic capabilities that can be showcased through self-publishing via the web. So Urban Hacks, how does that work?
So we really focused on the idea of everything being created on the day. One of the artists, Lauren, actually had this really great idea. It's so simple. She set up a canvas on the day, and she got people to write from A to Z, and choose a number from 1 to 6, and that directly corresponded with a space on the canvas and a color, and that was it. And even though it was so simple, some people were still so afraid and just, being like, oh no, I'm okay. And I'm like, no, if you don't participate though, this artwork will not happen. And that, I feel like that made them want to give back to me in a way, or to help me out in a sense, because I'm like, that canvas is going to stay blank if you don't do anything. So I think that's something, it was very experimental, and it was interesting to see how so many people chose B2, and there was a huge blue spot on it. And I think that's something we want to continue for the rest of the year, and maybe keep on adding to it. So now this painting sits in Lauren's house, but I'm hoping to bring it back out, and maybe next time it'll be different.
So 20 Bliss, where do you see it going 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now? And at what point Do you think you're going to be able to make money out of it?
Hopefully next year. Like I said, with Urban Hacks, it's a new idea, and some people have approached me to talk to them about it in the next 2 or 3 months, and if that goes according to plan, then hopefully there's going to be some money out of it.
Do you have many monetization options?
Right now, no, but I do have, as in for 20 Bliss, I do have this idea for online content, which I want to eventually monetize on. And I did this thing, I guess you could call it a podcast. I contacted some YouTubers that live in LA with quite a huge following, and I thought it was interesting because they spoke to a camera every single day, and I thought it'd be interesting to get them to record something. It was kind of just a stream of conscious, and I've done 3 or 4 of them now, and the readers have responded pretty well to them. And it was really interesting, even though they're honest to their audience most of the time, not having a camera there immediately just made it really raw, and it was almost like they just forgot that this was going to be uploaded later on for everyone to hear. They were just speaking to themselves in a room, or and it was just about what it was really focused on, encouraging people to put something out there, because they put themselves out there every single day online for thousands, maybe some of them millions of people to see. Yeah, so that's something that I'm looking to develop into a series, and then maybe get sponsorship on that. And also I have a couple ideas for YouTube series maybe, and to work with brands to create content. Because I feel like we're lacking that in Hong Kong. I mean, this right now is happening, but we're really lacking in online content that those YouTubers that I spoke of are so good at doing. And I feel like Hong Kong is an amazing city. There are so many different kinds of people. We can really do something with that.
Have there any superstars emerged amongst the Chinese young population in town that are doing things with YouTube, that have commanded a tribe and that represent, the kind of things that are going on in other countries? Has that emerged in Hong Kong? Do you know?
I feel like there's a handful of them. There's, I definitely know that there's a lot of girls on YouTube with makeup tutorials and in Hong Kong. And there's a couple like gaming channels, but I haven't found one. Maybe this is just me. I do know that some of them have a following, but I haven't found one that I really appreciate or really enjoy as much as the ones that I've seen from LA, New York, even London. Singapore has some pretty good YouTubers too.
When you look at your ability to produce content and you look at the state of the business market in Hong Kong and the use of the internet through sophisticated presentation of content for commercial ends, where do you see opportunities for you in your generation?
I think there's so much. I say that, I know I'm only 24, but I see 17-year-olds now, and that wasn't that long ago for me, but they're definitely smarter than when I was 17 because of the internet. And the internet is getting better and better every single day, but when I was, I think Twitter was just starting when I was 17, something like that. And Twitter was used to complain about school and homework. I mean, not that I don't complain on Twitter anymore, but it is a marketing tool as well, and you can meet people through Twitter, and it's weird to think about that now because you grow up with your parents saying, don't talk to strangers, and now every single day your kid is online talking to a million strangers, but it could be good for their career.
So clearly you have an orientation towards the internet.
Yes.
That is very much of the age. How would you say that your orientation towards the internet is different from your parents' orientation towards the internet?
Well, for one, my mom called the hashtag a pound sign the other day. So it's strange to explain to them. And I see that, like, my parents are ancient. They're really not. They're quite young parents. But it is weird to them to think that, you know, my kid is on her computer all day. What the hell is she doing? But, you know, it's like, no, I'm networking in a way. I don't know, it's strange. It's so hard to explain to them and tell them that this is a time where the internet has allowed us to be ourselves, almost, because there are no gatekeepers. You can say whatever you want on Twitter, and with 20 Bliss, I can say whatever I want. Maybe not now, but when I first started, it's, you know, I can say whatever I want on that because it was more of a personal blog for me. And people like that. You know, there's, just don't lie on the internet, because there are so many other blogs, there are so many other Twitter accounts, so many other Instagrams. If you're not authentic, people can tell eventually. And they don't have to stick around. It's one button and you're done, gone forever in their lives from their newsfeed, which sounds so harsh, but yeah.
What have you learned with 20 Bliss that will carry you through to perhaps, you know, the next phase of your career when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're really out there to make a mark?
I think just embracing who you are, which sounds really cheesy, but going back to what I said earlier about being authentic.
Authenticity.
People can tell. And if you're not producing authentic content, then why are you doing it? And why is it fun for you if you don't honestly and truly believe in what you're putting out there?